Welcome to EdTech Camp on Air. I am Sumona Sanyal, and in my session, I'll be sharing Equatio for Beginners. I invite you to engage in this presentation by using hashtag EdTech Camp on Air on Twitter. All right, let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is we need to add the extension. So either you can click on the waffle up here to get to your web store, or if you happen to be in another browser, you can type in Chrome Web Store. So I'm going to go to the Chrome Web Store. I'm going to search Equatio. And then I'm going to add to Chrome. Once I've added it to Chrome, it will show up as an extension. So I'm just going to add it to Chrome and say add extension. It's going to ask me to accept a bunch of permissions. I'm going to tell it I'm a teacher, and then it's going to enable. And you notice it automatically opens up a Google Doc. So I'm going to open the extension. It's going to ask me for which account I'm going to use, and then you'll notice it opens. So what I'm going to do next is I want to make sure that I've set it up so that it's the most successful for myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this big Equatio button right here, and it should open a menu, and it gives me options. And in those options, I'm going to click on what font size I want, what language I want. I want the math prediction, and I want the formulas to open. If you teach chemistry, you can absolutely type on chemistry. I teach math, so I'm not going to click on the chemistry. Then I'm going to hit save. Now, when I go into it, you can see that you can see all of my bars are here, and I can now continue to do math and start to edit. I'm ready to go. That is how we access and set up Equatio. All right, now that we've learned how to access and set up Equatio, the next thing we're going to look at is the equation editor. This is a really good way of having kids with memory difficulties or even executive function difficulties be able to get their math predictions or the math formulas predicted for them. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the tab that has the question. So you can use, as you can see, this question says, a farmer needs to build a fence for his new sheep pen. The pen has a length of 12 meters and a width of 32 meters. How much fencing does the farmer need? So we know this is a perimeter question. So what we're going to do is we've opened Equatio. And so now I'm going to click on the equation editor. And here's the nice part. It gives me, because I've kept give me tips along the way. You'll notice it gives me tips at some point. So this one says you've got access to the prediction feature. So what the great part is if I start typing perimeter, you can see it gives me the option. So this allows our kids to determine whether we need the perimeter of a square, perimeter of a rectangle, and then all I'm going to do is select it, and it automatically inserts the formula. So at this point, I can insert the math, and you'll notice it comes up as an image. I'm just going to shrink this so you can see, or move this up, so you can see my image is there. So now I can hit the enter button, and it allows me to move on. So I can erase this, and I can now put in insert what I need to know. I know my length is 32, so 2 times 32 plus 2 times 12. Insert. And now I can insert the math again, and you'll notice as long as I've hit enter, the math will go on to the next line. And so I can keep going. So I can now add in 64, 24, insert the math, and it will keep inserting underneath as long as I've hit the enter button. Insert math. So as you can see, I've now added my entire math question in there. So some students may find having to insert math very difficult every single time. So what they can do actually is if we start at the beginning and I say perimeter and I get my formula again, If they hit Shift Enter, it will actually put them on the next line. So they can copy it right underneath. So 2 times 12 plus 2, 2 times 32. Shift Enter again. P equals 24 plus 64. Shift Enter. P equals 88. And then I can insert the math again. And so at this point, it will insert everything as one image. And if I make a mistake along the way, I can extract it as well. And then if I wanted to add a sentence, I would use the word text and then say, the farmer needs 88 centimeters or meters of fencing. I can insert math. And then if I get rid of this, you can see that it works. And that's Equation Editor. All right, so now that we've looked at Equation Editor, we're now going to move into Handwriting Recognition. Handwriting recognition is great because it allows you to access the math and do the math from a number of devices, anything that allows you to touch or do anything with, like a smartboard, a tablet, an iPad. But the other cool thing is you can use it straight from your computer. And what it does do is it allows kids to use a mouse or use their finger if it's a touchscreen to demonstrate their understanding without having to be able to type it, without having to be able to type their math or know where the letters or numbers are or where the math questions are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the toolbar, and the handwriting recognition is the pencil. So I'm going to click on that. The nice thing with this is even if I make a mistake, I'm able to fix it. So what I'm going to first do is rewrite the question. And you'll notice is as I'm writing, it's putting it in the math space area. So you'll notice I made an error when it went to type. It made an error. So now I'm just going to go in and edit it by hitting the delete button. Now the neat thing is I can either insert this math and then move on, or I can also hit Shift Enter and start again. So then I can do 3 bracket 3 plus 4 bracket minus 2 bracket. And you'll notice once again, my 4 didn't come out. So I'm going to put my cursor there and delete it. And then just go back to the end, hit Shift Enter, and now I can keep going. So 9 plus negative 8. And if I go down to it, you can see it's still there, which is fabulous. So now I can keep editing math. So, Shift Enter. So if you forget to Shift Enter, you just go back to the space that you need to be in. So I'll click my mouse back down here. And you'll notice it has my symbol. I just delete it, hit Shift Enter, and now I've got 9 minus 8. And if I put my mouse down, I can see it's there. And then here I can go Shift Enter equals 1. And then, so I can go back and put some equal signs in so that I know each one equals the next line. And then I can insert my math. Now, when I scroll down, I can see, I made a mistake or I want to fix something. I can just keep pushing down, and then if I have a backspace, that's cool. Doesn't matter. Either way, I can now edit the math. I've used the handwriting recognition, and if there's errors along the way, I've been able to fix them. So that is handwriting recognition, which is fabulous. All right, so now that we've talked about handwriting recognition, let's move on to speech input. Speech input is great because it allows students to be able to use their voice to share their understanding. So for some of our students, typing using a mouse pad is really difficult. So we can do the same thing with their speech. So we're actually going to go here to this document. We're going to find the measure of the hypotenuse. So we're using Pythagorean theorem, which is great. So what I'm going to do is open up my toolbar. I'm going to click on the microphone. And now I have my spot to open. So you'll notice there's a red button. As soon as I click that, I can start speaking my my equation. So I'm going to turn it on. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And you'll notice it automatically takes what I've said and makes it into math formula. So I'm going to hit Shift Enter. So I'm going to hit Shift Enter. Then I'm going to start speaking again. Just to memorize. 12 squared plus 16 squared equals C squared. Turn off, put my cursor at the end, Shift Enter. So then 144 plus 256 equals C squared. Shift Enter. 400 equals C squared. Square root of 400 equals square root of C. Square root of 400 equals square root of C. I made a mistake, so I'm just going to go down here and I'm going to add my little sign, and I'm going to go change that to a 2 and get rid of my X, or I can just delete the whole thing, and then I can say it again. Square root of 400 equals square root of C squared, and then hit Shift, put it right there, hit Shift Enter, and then 20 equals C. And now I'm just going to insert my math. Insert math. And then because I hit insert math twice, I get it twice. So I'm going to just close my bar. And what the nice part is, you can see that all I've had to do is explain my thinking. And if I want to add a sentence, I can do that. Just hit enter, and then I can open my toolbar again, delete this, and hit my speech. Say, therefore, the hypotenuse equals 20. Okay, same idea. And I can also just type it in if I need to, move it, insert math, and then if I get rid of the toolbar again, you'll notice there it is. So there I can do my math with my speech, with just explaining the math without having to do the math, or without having to write or type the math. So now that we've looked at speech input, we're actually going to go on to Equatio for mobile. Equatio for mobile is great because it allows you to use your phone or a device of some sort to capture math learning, especially if you're going to do it on a vertical non-permanent surface. If you want the kids to take a picture of your lesson for a note, if you're doing something on the board that you want all the students to be able to work on at once, it allows you to take a picture and then upload it to a Google document and provide them with the opportunity to work on it, or store it as an image, or work on it as math. And this is especially helpful for our students who really do struggle with difficulties in copying notes from the board or copying down questions. So what I've done is I've opened a Google Doc, and you can see my toolbar is already open. I'm then going to click on the mobile phone at the bottom, and it pops up with a message with either a URL that I can click on and it will open, or I can use my phone and scan the QR code. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. I've shared my phone screen as well. I'm going to click on the camera button. And then I'm going to scan the QR code. And you'll notice at the top of my phone screen is it's providing me with the option of opening the Google Doc. So I'm going to open that Google document. What it's doing, or the Safari document, I guess the Safari website, what it's doing is it's looking for any active documents. And you'll notice it pops up with Equatio for mobile. So what I'm going to do is now it's opened up this document. So there's a couple things I can do. One, I can use my handwriting recognition. I can use my speech to input, or I'm going to use my camera. I'm going to give it permission. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a picture of this math. And I'm going to center this. I'm going to center it. And if I don't like the image, I can take another one. So I'm just going to pop out. Oh, I don't like this one. So I'm going to take a picture of it. Take a picture. Shift it so that it's there, and then I'm going to click. Now I have one of two options. I can save as math, or save as an image. I'm going to save it as math. Oh, and if it can't detect the math, then what you can do is take another picture. So as you can see, it's having a difficult time detecting the math that I've done. So I'm going to take a picture right here. Try it again. Let's corner it and then see save as math. And the only math it could detect is the X, which is fine. And I'm going to take another picture. I'm going to take another picture. I'm going to trash that picture. And hopefully the math will now become clear. I'm going to say yes, save as math. And then you'll notice it pops up. So now I can click. And if I go back to my document, you'll see how the math is now inserted. So if I want to, I can click on here and I can click edit the math. And what it will do is it'll extract part of the math out for me. So if I need to go back in and fix errors, I can, and it's great. It's really helpful in that sense. And you can see all the math there. So I missed a 9, so the -9 is missing from here, so I can put the -9 in. And then I can keep going until I've done. And then I can insert my math back in. So the nice part about that is it provides me with the opportunity to show my work, but also to make any or correct any errors I now have. So now that we've looked at Equatio for mobile, we're going to move on to MathSpace. MathSpace is really neat because it allows access to geometric shapes such as squares, triangles, 3D shapes, nets, but also manipulatives that allow students to access geometry in a way that's beneficial to themselves. So I'm just going to click to the MathSpace, and I'm going to create 3 equivalent fractions for 1/2. So I'm going to open my toolbar. I'm going to come down here and say Insert MathSpace. So when I open that, a new tab opens. It's going to open my MathSpace area. And then I have all the same access to my tools that I would in Equatio. So if I needed to, I could write, I could handwrite, I could speech input, I could use my phone. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to show you the shapes. So they have our basic shapes, but if I click on the 3 dots, I get more shapes. So I also get, that's where I can find my manipulatives. So coins, tangrams, pentagons, 3D shapes, base 10 frames, nets, and then just some other fun little pictures that may allow us to access a variety of different tools to help us with math. The other one that I'm going to look at is the smart shape. So in here is where I've got my fraction bar. So I'm going to click on it, and then now I can create a fraction bar. And it comes up, when I click on it, it gives me my editing function. So this is where I can change the number of segments. I can change the number of shaded segments. Within the smart shapes, I also have a pie, protractor, grid, coordinate plane, and a number line. So there's so many cool, effective tools in here that's going to allow students to demonstrate their knowledge. So I'm going to click on my fraction bar. And I think I had to create, if I go back, it was create 3 equivalent fractions to 1/2. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create this so it looks like 1/2. And I'm just going to change the number of sections to 2. And I want the number of shaded sections to be 1. So that looks like 1/2. Now, if I select this by saying Control C or click on the copy, I can paste it, and now I get the exact same size fraction bar. I can now adjust as I need to. So if I think 1/3 is equivalent to 1/2, I can see that, no, it doesn't really work. So if I go to 1/4, oh, well, this kind of makes up 1/2 and this other half, but I only have one shaded segment. So I'm going to go and I'm going to change it to, I'm going to up it by 1. And now I can visually see that 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. And then I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it again and just move it so that it's in line with the other two. And I'm going to try thirds. Oops, no, wrong one. I want to click on this one and I'm going to try thirds. Well, 3 or fifths. Fifths doesn't really work. And I'm going to now go up a number of segments. Ooh, that looks like it matches with those two. So that's 3/6. So now I've got to click on, make sure my number of shaded segments go. So now I have 1/2, 2/4, and 3/6. And if I wanted to write a sentence right in the math space, I could do it. If I don't, I just hit the Insert Math Space button, and it will insert it directly into my Google Doc as an image. So now I have the ability to use my speech input. I have the ability to type 2 equivalent fractions for 1/2 is 2/4 and 3/6. You can see it kind of comes out a little funny when I just type it. But I can also then use my speech input and say 2 equivalent fractions for 1/2 are 2/4 and 3/6. So you can see it kind of doesn't work out so well when I use my speech. So I'm going to hit delete, and then I'm going to go to my equation editor, and I'm going to say text, and it says 2 equivalent fractions for 1/2 is 2/4 is 4. And then I'm going to insert that math. Insert. And so now my written work is there. And now I can go back and go 1/2, insert. And then I can type text again, is, insert. Is 2/4, insert, and 3/6, insert math. And then I can close my toolbar. And I've now answered this question. So that is Equatio for beginners. It's got very basic overview of how to use the various different tools, or some of the different tools that you can find in Equatio. If you're looking for more learning or would like to learn how to access, there's 2 resources that I know that I use. One is the one that was created by YRDSB staff to your technology resource teachers our math curriculum consultants to support our learning around Equatio. So the bit.ly is right there, and I'll just flip to the tab. This is what it looks like, and it provides secondary and elementary choices, tips and tricks. So if you need to do a little bit more learning, the other one that I like to access is the Equatio or the text help forum, and I've created the link, and it provides different ways of getting started, how to use it, how to use PDFs, and move forward with that. So other than that, I want to thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the session, and if you would like to connect, as I'm happy to continue to help support your learning, please connect on Twitter at Miss Sanyal. At Miss S. Sanyal, or you can always email me at simona.sanyal@YRDSB. Thanks and have a great day.